Hello everybody, and today we are diving into one of the strangest contradictions in modern celebrity culture, because Jennifer Lopez may be one of the most recognizable entertainers on the planet. Yet at the exact same time she has become one of the most debated examples of how fame can slowly drift away from emotional connection with audiences even while the visibility itself never disappears. That contradiction became impossible to ignore during the last few years, especially as online discussions about her career stopped focusing purely on success and began shifting toward a much more complicated question. Does Jennifer Lopez still represent genuine cultural influence? Or has she become a symbol of a celebrity era that younger audiences no longer fully trust? What makes this discussion unusually complex is that Lopez is not simply a singer, actress, or public figure. She represents an entire model of entertainment ambition that dominated the late 1990s and early 2000s, when celebrities were expected to appear almost superhuman in their work ethic, physical presentation, and media control. Jennifer Lopez built her image around relentless perfection. She danced harder than most pop stars, trained constantly, maintained a carefully polished appearance, expanded into business ventures, moved between film and music without hesitation, and projected the kind of confidence that made audiences believe she was always in control of every detail around her. For years, that formula worked almost flawlessly. But the internet changed the rules of celebrity behavior in ways that many traditional stars still struggle to navigate. Modern audiences often respond more positively to vulnerability than perfection, more positively to awkwardness than polish, and more positively to spontaneity than precision. In other words, the exact qualities that once made Jennifer Lopez look powerful can now make her appear distant to people who grew up consuming influencer culture rather than old Hollywood glamour. And nowhere was this more visible than during the intense online reactions surrounding her recent self-funded creative projects and documentary storytelling. When Jennifer Lopez released This Is Me Now, the project immediately became larger than music itself. It was framed almost like a personal mythology about love, identity, heartbreak, emotional healing, and destiny. The scale of the production was enormous, and Lopez clearly treated it as one of the most important artistic statements of her career. But instead of universal admiration, the release triggered widespread internet analysis that ranged from supportive to brutally critical. Some viewers genuinely appreciated the ambition and emotional openness behind the project, arguing that very few major celebrities would risk exposing themselves to this level of scrutiny. Others believed the project unintentionally revealed how disconnected celebrity self-perception can become from ordinary reality. One reason the backlash grew so rapidly was because audiences online increasingly analyze intention rather than simply consuming entertainment at face value. Many people felt Jennifer Lopez was trying extremely hard to convince viewers that they were seeing the real version of her, yet the project itself was presented through expensive cinematic symbolism, stylized emotional sequences, celebrity cameos, and luxury aesthetics that made some viewers question the authenticity of the message. The internet became flooded with discussions asking whether vulnerability can still feel genuine when it is delivered through a multi-million-dollar production involving choreographed emotional narratives. At the center of all this was once again Ben Affleck, whose relationship with Lopez has become almost impossible to separate from her public identity. Their reunion initially looked like the perfect celebrity redemption story, especially for audiences nostalgic about the early 2000s tabloid era. People loved the idea that two stars who failed to make their relationship work decades earlier somehow found each other again after years of personal evolution. But modern celebrity culture thrives on constant surveillance, and eventually their marriage transformed into a permanent internet investigation. Every photograph, every interview clip, every red carpet appearance became material for public interpretation. Ben Affleck's often visibly uncomfortable expressions during paparazzi encounters created an entire ecosystem of memes and commentary online. Meanwhile, Jennifer Lopez's continued enthusiasm for public appearances led many viewers to speculate about whether the couple fundamentally experiences fame in completely different ways. Some internet users began constructing narratives that Lopez is addicted to publicity while Affleck appears exhausted by it, although there is no reliable evidence proving such simplified interpretations. Still, The internet rarely waits for certainty before building emotional narratives around celebrities. What makes this situation particularly difficult for Jennifer Lopez is that her entire career was built on mastering visibility. She became famous during a period when celebrity exposure itself was considered valuable. Red carpets, magazine covers, paparazzi attention, award show appearances, and highly publicized romances all increased star power. But now audiences frequently punish celebrities for appearing overly curated or overly public. In a strange way, Lopez is facing criticism for continuing to operate exactly as major celebrities were trained to operate 20 years ago. Another major topic that emerged during recent discussions involves Jennifer Lopez's actual artistic legacy, particularly in music. Critics have increasingly debated whether her influence has been underestimated because conversations about her personal life often overshadow her professional accomplishments. Younger audiences sometimes forget how dominant Lopez truly was during the early 2000s. She was simultaneously starring in commercially successful films while producing hit singles and maintaining one of the strongest celebrity brands in entertainment. Very few performers have managed to balance multiple industries with that level of consistency. Yet because Lopez's career emphasized mainstream accessibility rather than artistic experimentation, some critics argue she was never granted the same level of critical respect as other pop figures from her era. At the same time, others argue that Jennifer Lopez's career raises uncomfortable questions about how the entertainment industry defines talent itself. Throughout the years, she faced repeated criticism regarding her vocal abilities, with debates occasionally resurfacing online about ghost vocals and industry production practices connected to some of her biggest songs. These discussions became especially active again as younger music listeners rediscovered old controversies through social media platforms. Defenders of Lopez argue that reducing her success to technical vocal discussions completely ignores her strengths as a performer, entertainer, visual icon, and crossover media figure. Critics respond that celebrity branding sometimes overshadowed artistic substance. The fact that these arguments still generate passionate reactions decades later demonstrates how culturally significant Lopez remains. Meanwhile, the film side of her career has experienced another unexpected reevaluation. For years, many critics dismissed Jennifer Lopez primarily as a romantic comedy star, yet projects like Hustlers forced some analysts to reconsider her abilities as an actress. Her performance in that film received substantial praise and even generated awards season discussion, leading many viewers to believe she was entering a serious dramatic phase in her career. When major awards recognition ultimately failed to materialize at the level some expected, online conversations intensified around whether Hollywood still struggles to fully respect performers associated with commercial celebrity culture rather than traditional prestige acting. There is also a psychological dimension to Jennifer Lopez's public image that fascinates audiences today. She projects extraordinary confidence, discipline, and ambition, but modern viewers often search for emotional contradiction underneath highly polished celebrity personas. In Lopez's case, many people interpret her endless reinventions as evidence of resilience, while others interpret them as signs of somebody constantly seeking validation through public attention. That ambiguity fuels endless discussion because audiences are essentially projecting their own beliefs about fame, insecurity, aging, romance, and success onto her career. And perhaps that explains why Jennifer Lopez continues dominating conversations even during periods when her projects receive mixed reviews. She represents something larger than entertainment alone. She represents the tension between old celebrity culture and new internet culture, between perfection and relatability, between spectacle and authenticity, between public fantasy and emotional realism. Whether people admire her or criticize her, they continue analyzing her because she remains one of the last surviving examples of the massive pre-social media superstar model colliding directly with a much harsher digital era. The real question now is not whether Jennifer Lopez can remain famous, because clearly she can. The question is whether modern audiences still emotionally connect with the style of stardom she represents, or whether they now prefer celebrities who appear smaller, messier, and less carefully constructed. Whatever the answer may be, Jennifer Lopez has already secured a place in entertainment history that extends far beyond temporary internet backlash cycles. And honestly, the fact that people continue arguing about her this intensely after decades in the spotlight may be the strongest proof that her cultural impact never truly disappeared in the first place. Thanks for listening, and let me know whether you think Jennifer Lopez is being unfairly judged by modern audiences, or whether celebrity culture itself has fundamentally changed in ways that stars from her generation were never fully prepared for.